self-awareness, knowing your intentions, knowing your values, being aware of what can keep you from becoming a good leader. Self-awareness. Then self-confidence, when you know your strengths as well as your abilities, taking action to develop skills to build confidence. And then self-efficacy, believing whatever comes your way is something that you can handle. So in essence, you want to think of yourself in ways that moves you forward, in ways that brings you progress and growth. Understanding the steps, that will help you reach your goals. All of this happens from within. And before you can be a proper leader, you need to think about your own actions, understand that it's appropriate to act and when it is not. Sometimes you see something, you observe something, and you need to take action immediately. Sometimes you let it slide. There's a difference between the two scenarios. You mustn't be controlled by impulses all the time. You have to do the things you do with full intention, right? Proceed with the purpose every time. We must possibly influence ourselves if we want to make changes in others. And we must think about how our actions will be measured around us. Sometimes it's what works against our self-leadership is laziness, selfishness, some of these, greed, some of these vices that makes you less concerned about the common good, always thinking about yourself and acting in ways that portray you in bad lights. Okay. Once you decide to be a self-leader, you act like it. You change your mindsets. You start thinking about what leadership abilities you have, and you take actions to fill in that role of a leader that you found you can be. Never be content with where you are. Give everything you have to be able to establish yourself and show others that you deserve your role. Some of the tips that can help you to lead yourself, establish and work on your purpose. Most people don't have a purpose. I find this a bit, distressing when I ask somebody, what kind of work do you want? Says any kind of job. Say, what do you want to be in the next 5 years? I want to be doing what I'm doing now. Well, all kinds of responses just show that not many people are taking enough time to define their purpose in life, define their purpose for a career, define what will mean something to them. Think about it. Take a moment to introspect and ask yourself, if you look back at where you're coming from and where you're going, can you map out a trajectory and tell yourself, okay, if I continue like this, I'll end up at this point. Is that where I want to be? What changes? Where do I want to be? Refocus, redefine that and ask myself, what changes in my thoughts and in my actions can I begin to implement to move me in the direction I want to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? And then you begin to give your all to establish yourself and show others that you deserve where you are. Focus on what makes you happy. Be passionate, brave, and optimistic. Have a healthy self-belief. There are people who will always talk about self-positive affirmations. I am confident. I am bold. I am intelligent. I am strong. And when they make you say these things, it sounds like a cliche. Sounds like, when you're not doing anything about it, why are you just repeating positive affirmations? But the thing is, because you are saying it repeatedly and you are believing what you are telling yourself, you begin to make decisions in many situations that help you move in the direction of those positive affirmations. So Don't look down on those affirmations. You know, be enthusiastic about your life. There's so much doom and gloom in some people. As you meet them, you will hear of how sad, how bad, how all kinds of negative things happen to them, and they will spend so much time dwelling on it. They will have all the reasons to believe that people other than themselves are responsible for all the things that are happening to them, and they are not taking specific actions to govern their mind. They're not taking specific actions to define their purpose, to carve a path towards achieving their life and careers goals. They just drift from day to day. Okay. Once you've been able to establish, your inner leader, define yourself as a leader. Yeah, you must advance yourself and ensure that all of your actions continue to be on the right track. So that's what I was saying. Uh, define your purpose, uh, uh, write down your values and positive affirmations that will help you think, change your thoughts, and begin to move in the direction you want to go. All right. This is not about leading people. This self-leadership is it's a basis, it's a background, it's a level you have to be at first before you start leading others. So if you suddenly have made a manager, a supervisor, a director, an executive in an organization, or even in a non-profit organization in the church or social environment, you will see that you will begin to struggle. Your actions, your words, and your thoughts will not be aligned, and you'll begin to see those reactions coming from those you are supposed to be leading. Okay, so this is where the action on yourself needs to start. I've taken all the thinking, I've created my purpose, I've defined, what I need to do. You need to start taking full responsibility for your actions. And make sure you are always able to compare yourself today with yourself yesterday and the day before. If you have, a goal to become healthy, for example, and you decide to do some exercise, some physical exercise and activities, are you able to, check how many of those walk distance, running, jogging distance, skipping, push-ups, whatever, reps you do for different types of exercises to see how you are improving from last year to this year and so on and so forth, right? That is where continual improvement comes in. You need to be able to take stock of yourself. And then if you're able to take stock, it's more like it's like mapping and trending your progress. You are encouraged because you are now seeing that it is possible to get to your goal at the time you define. You are encouraged to stay consistent, to never give up, because you are seeing your future clearly. You'll learn to love your ideas and actions and, take more of the positive action. And then you will learn more and more ways to do things better and better. The longest journey is the journey inward. It's the most important thing we can do for ourselves. Everyone needs motivators. We all need something that gets us going and drives us to want more and strive for better. You can have different motivators for different things. You may have a motivator that helps you with work, a motivator that helps you with your home life. You need to determine what motivates you. And when I say motivators, it's not necessarily humans, it's not necessarily mentors, it's not necessarily people, right? Motivators are circumstances, motivators can be occurrences, motivators can be events, can be things you do that, move you towards your the action that you should take, some kind of stimuli that gets you, acting in the way you define for yourself, right? To understand the need for autonomy, we need to understand what it is. Autonomy is related to a person's ability to make informed and uncoerced decisions for themselves. And this is a major element of self-leadership. If you think through a situation or you take an action, even if you, as part of analyzing that situation, talk to people for advice and counsel and whatever, right? By the time you finally make a decision, can you confidently say, this decision is mine? I had autonomy. I was not coerced to make this decision. You have to start by knowing yourself, being able to differentiate yourself from those around you, because every time you get, opinions thrown at you, you must consciously filter through those opinions and say, uh, this is who I am. As for this and that thoughts and an idea, that's not who I am. It may sound appealing, but it's against something that is me. Okay. And then challenge your beliefs and assumptions. It's very important to question why you have certain thoughts, why you have certain beliefs. Sometimes environmental programming, sometimes it's cultural programming, sometimes it's just you flowing along with, what is around you. You need to be able to question and challenge it and ask yourself, why am I acting in that way? Why am I thinking in that way? If you ask those questions to yourself, you might give yourself answers to either stay on that path or to change. And then we need to become more assertive. Assertive people are people that, okay, so we might say they are opinionated, but the whole idea is they act. They say, this is what I feel, this is what I think, right? And sometimes assertive people are seen as brash or rash or arrogant because they take a stand. Whereas people who are not assertive, they tend to lose themselves over time, and they don't like who they become because they blend in like a chameleon in every circumstance they are in. They are not able to set the tone of an environment because they are just, trying to be indistinguishable, trying to blend in with their environment or their circumstances. We need to be able to make our own decisions, right? Make sure you can meet your own needs and learn to suit yourself. This is actually more like emotional and mental independence. That's what autonomy is about. Being able to say that, based on how I feel and my assessment of situations, these are the things I have as my position, and then hold on to it firmly. Self-efficacy is your belief in your capacity to exhibit behaviors and complete tasks to reach goals, right? If you have strong self-efficacy, you view challenges as things to master. Instead of you seeing a challenge and saying, oh, no, I'm not cut out for this. You say, what can I learn from this? How can I overcome this? You begin to develop deeper interest in things that matter to you, instead of having a peripheral knowledge of situations and concepts. Okay, you become more and more involved in learning. You have a strong sense of commitment to those interests, things that interest you. If you have a course, if you have a profession, if you have an ideology, you need to learn everything there is about it. Okay, and if there are setbacks in your life, you need to be able to have a quick spring back up from a setback. The reverse is the case for people who have weak self-efficacy. If you give them a task that is challenging, they back up. Oh no, I've not done it before. I'm not going to attempt anything. I don't want to be embarrassed. Just tell yourself you are not on the path of self-leadership if you are running away from things that challenges you, right? Always believing that tasks are beyond your capabilities, not giving it a shot. You always focus on personal failures. The experiences from your past that influences your decisions about the future are more tilted towards the negative experiences, which are the failures. The successes you've had in the past, you're not using them to take more risk to attempt achieving more success in the future. That focus will keep limiting your ability to lead yourself. And then for some, with the slightest sign or symptom, they have lost confidence. They are backed up. All right. So when we're talking about what motivates us, in self-leadership, we talk about the extrinsic or external factors that motivate us. And then we also talk about the internal or intrinsic factors that motivate us. Um, Not everyone will be driven by external rewards, for example, things that, like money and fame. So sometimes there are people who you know, uh, just want to be able to have a quiet life, just want to have good relationship with others as the things that motivate them. So it doesn't really matter whether they have wealth or whether they have all the medals and fame, right? But people like that often benefit more from internal motivation, right? Um, Doing something because you enjoy doing it. Those are intrinsic motivation. It's not concerned with external rewards like awards or praise or money, right? What do you feel inside when you volunteer, for example? When somebody says, thank you, you've given me a good lesson, you've given me a helping hand, you've given me a good advice, right? So it's important that we learn how identify these intrinsic rewards, both external and internal rewards. We should be able to identify them and know exactly what will be the biggest motivating factor in getting us to continue doing what we are doing or to move into things that are positive for us to do so that we can do them better. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Secrets change. You can't lead yourself. You cannot say you are a self-leader if you cannot imbibe change. Okay. It's obvious that people learn from their environment, their surroundings, reactions of other people. They will begin to react either like them or not like them. A range of mannerisms, habits, even our language and the way we talk and relate with others can be, can be related to our environment. A quality of a strong leader is having the ability to control emotions in intense situations. When something goes unexpected, immediately we react. If something goes expected or successful, immediately we react. Sometimes being able to identify, catch yourself, this is sad, this is bad, I should react negatively. Catch yourself in the action that want to follow those thoughts. The moment you have that kind of ability to catch yourself thinking and analyzing your thinking to say, is this a good thought? Is this a positive thought? That's the beginning of being able to manage our actions. One of the qualities of a strong leader is having the ability to control emotions in intense situations. Focus on what good behavior looks like and be aware of what bad behavior looks like. In order to exhibit positive behavior, focus on what makes you happy. Act as if you are trying to impress yourself, not someone else, right? You are doing it for yourself. Avoid bad behavior because it's fairly to poor self-esteem. It draws you to others with poor behavior. It's a symptom of a bigger issue. Some common bad behaviors that comes out of negative thinking, if you don't catch yourself in it, is guilt tripping. Feeling guilty for every small thing. So people are so good at beating themselves over for even the slightest thing. Some bad behaviors involves temper tantrums, flaring up and acting in rage. Manipulation, trying to twist people's minds and get them to do things that's against their will. Gossiping is also a bad behavior. Catch yourself, ask yourself, why exactly am I telling this person what I'm telling the person? Or why exactly am I listening to what I'm listening to right now? Gossiping is a very dangerous, bad behavior that we must avoid. And then jealousy. Somebody gets something, acquires, becomes better at something, gets an award, and all you can think of is, look at my life. We started together. Look at how far he has gone. You start having, you know, pity. And from there, you start going into more deeper negative thoughts that leads to depression that can actually get worse. And for some, they take actions in very negative direction to either achieve or surpass or bring down that person who they are jealous of. Prompt yourself, is this thinking jealous? Is this thinking something I should be having? The whole basis of self-leadership is being able to catch yourself thinking and analyzing the thoughts and deciding that it's a good thought, continue thinking it and analyzing it, or stop it because I want to be a good person. Some other bad behaviors are poor listening habits. Someone is talking to you, you're not paying attention, you already made up your mind what you want to say, and you blot it out anyway. And then there are certain bad manners, disrespectful, uncouth, arrogance, disposition, looking down on people, demeaning people generally. They are all things that they come to us because we don't have control. And sometimes people think that it's the person who is acting with these bad manners knows what he's doing. No, they're not so conscious of it. It's actually a weakness. But they put it up like a facade of confidence as if they know what they're doing. No, they don't. They are not able to catch themselves thinking negative thoughts. And as such, they're not even aware of how bad their behaviors are in public. So we must be conscious of this. We need to be able to observe ourselves, right? We want to be a good person. Each person wants to be a good person. But sometimes we forget about our behavior and do not realize that we are hurting ourselves or others. So create cues to remind you to act correctly. Cues to redirect negative behaviors can be learned by everyone. Non-verbal cues can motivate us to exhibit proper behaviors and stop those behaviors that can derail our intentions. Remember those days when our mothers will basically just wink at you and you have a whole page of instructions from that wink, or just kiss, or just make a face. And once you see it, you have been served. You know exactly what you've been caught in and what control. You can do that for yourself. Be conscious of your cues in order to adjust your behavior accordingly. And make all the difference for us if we just catch ourselves. Gestures, body posture, facial expression, eye contact, proximity. Just being able to in that moment, ask yourself, what am I thinking with this expression? And then, we're able to observe ourselves, seeing how you affect others, being able to see the positive and negative, can live in the moment and experience the present. Self-observation, starting point for making changes in our life. Okay, so observing ourselves starts with being able to observe our thoughts, our feelings, our moods throughout the day. There are times when you just come out of an awkward moment, and as soon as you come out of that awkward moment, you start beating yourself up throughout the day. Start analyzing what's going on in that person's mind right now. What did the person think? How did I make this mistake? How can I correct the impression? We are so concerned about what people think about what they've just seen or what we've just done or whatever. We can dwell in that stupor of thoughts so long that will derail our own productivity. Okay. So keys to self-observation, see how you affect others, reflect on others. Be able to see the positive and negative, be able to differentiate what's positive and what's negative. And we can live in the moment and experience the present. Being able to live in the moment means not allowing the sad experiences or negatives of previous days affect how we judge situations of today. We can learn from them, but we need to be able to enjoy today's day in itself. So how do we start? We need to set goals. Goals give us a reason to live. Like I said at the beginning, we need to have a purpose, and that purpose should drive every action, starting from the thoughts, the words, and the actions that move in the direction of that purpose. So to move in that direction appropriately, we need to set goals to better ourselves and help us improve and move forward. So we'll talk about goals that are positive, goals that have the right timelines, goals that can be attainable, goals that are relevant or rewarding, that are time-bound or trackable. Just being conscious not to set a goal that is ambiguous and bold, or that is too weak and it's not measurable. We need to be conscious so that we can have a goal that is smart and balanced, and we can know exactly what we are doing towards achieving those goals. We get to choose how we act. It's up to us to behave properly and respectfully. We must focus our behaviors toward acting sensibly. Our actions should provide positive results and help us reach our goal, our end goal all the time. So back to the purpose. Purpose motivates us. It's what gives us a fulfilling life. Everyone has their own individual meaningful purpose. Now, so we see everyone has their purpose, but not many people have connected with their purpose, have written it down, have defined it. Because if you don't, you might be drifting, right? Drifting right and left. Anybody can pull you into a new job, pull you into something that pays you money, pull you into a course that you are not committed to, that does not add value to you as an individual because you've not carefully defined your purpose. I'm able to turn down certain business propositions. I'm able to turn down participation in certain NGOs or other organizations because they don't align with my purpose. Anyone that aligns with my purpose, I see how it fits into what I'm already doing and see how it's going to propel me towards the direction I'm going. Then yes, right? So we must find our purpose so that we can have meaning in everything we do. So we can have direction and guidance and motivation, of all things. Incentives drive behavior. So you're more likely to see positive behavior when incentives are present. Okay. So when we talk about the intrinsic and the extrinsic or the external rewards, if I do something, I feel satisfied in itself. For doing it, I feel satisfied. I don't wait for external reward, but it's important for us to know, where the rewards are, whether intrinsic or extrinsic. But there must be something that we get in return for every good deed, right? And that must be identified so that every time you do a good deed, you are able to look at that and say, "Hey, yes, I get that. I get that reward." And then you are encouraged again to do that good deed, and on. You get better and better. The same thing with punishment. Punishment are used to change a behavior, especially the negative behavior, right? You want to reduce the likelihood of making the same mistake again, right? So you can have the positive punishments, which is more like, if I do this, I'll have to go and read a certain chapter in the Bible or Quran, right? So that's more like a punishment because it's a stimulus. It's something that's positive to help me change, but it drives me to act, on myself, to say, "Hey, you failed on this area. Go and read this book. Go and help this person. Go and do this. Go and do that." Those are all positive punishment. And then you also have the negative punishments. These ones are the ones that are imposed on you. For example, if you overspeed or you drink and drive, you have to be prosecuted. Pay tickets or pay a fine or something. Those are negative punishments. Now, for self-leadership, we need to also be able to create our own, whether positive or negative punishments. So for example, denying yourself of a perk or of an enjoyment because you did not do so much of a positive thing. Being conscious to say, no, I'm not having my nuts this evening. I'm not chewing any nuts today because I did not do ABC. I'm looking at my nuts and feeling, oh, I wish I had done it so I can eat you, but I can't eat you now because I don't deserve you, right? It's a negative punishment I'm imposing on myself so that tomorrow, if I'm looking forward to having a handful of my nuts and I'm thinking of them, I'm also telling myself I've tied eating these nuts to this positive activity. If I really want to have those nuts in the evening, I must make sure I perform those positive activities. So basically, you have to be able to take charge. You can't say, oh, well, it's not my nuts. Even if I didn't do it, let me go and eat it, right? You're losing self-leadership if you are careless with that kind of control that could easily get you to do things better and better. So it's not automatic that once we just hear how to become positive, how to become self-leading, we'll just imbibe it, pick it up and start. No, 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 no. Practice. We say practice makes perfect, right? Some will tell you it is perfect practice that makes perfect. Because if you're practicing wrongly, you probably will not get perfect, isn't it? You cannot become an expert in anything without practice, right? Our behaviors need practice. So when some people start modeling behavioral change and we say, oh, they are faking it. This is not him. It's faking. It's acting, right? What I'll simply say is fake it until you make it, right? Keep prompting yourself to act differently, act in the way that aligns with your purpose, all right? When you do that long enough, it becomes normal to you, right? Before it becomes normal, at the beginning, it is not normal. Take somebody who smokes 20, 30 sticks of cigarettes every day. You don't expect the person to just stop because he heard cigarette smoking is bad. I mean, even if you put a skeleton image on the packet of cigarettes, it might even increase the smoking rates of many people, right? But when the individual begins to control himself by putting cues around to help, okay, so this one I'm not smoking this one. I'm going to smoke the one at 3 o'clock, right? So he has created something to reduce the frequency. And if he says after a week, I'm going to do just the 9 a.m. and the 3 p.m., I'm not doing any of the other 10 slots of smoking, person is becoming better and better. And it's actually using a ticker to say, yes, I've been disciplined enough, I've followed my record, and at some point, okay, I'm no longer doing this. Let me see for just 1 week how I will manage without taking anything of these cigarettes. So it's there, but this week, I'll take next week. I'm not taking this week. So it practices. Yeah, don't worry. Don't bother yourself. It's not next week. I will get there. And the same thing happens to people when they go into a fasting period. The first time is kind of awkward. You're struggling, and after a while, I'll eat in the evening. Okay, let me get my mind off it. After practicing for a few days, it just becomes a way of life and you can get through it, right? So the broken record method is when we repeat something over and over. And the autopilot method is when we activate our autopilot system and practice without realizing the action is occurring. So it takes time to progress to the autopilot. It doesn't happen at once, right? Why do people not practice? Why do people give up easily? They believe it's a waste of time. If I'm going to get back to cigarette next week, why would I even stop now? What is this whole 1 week about? Forget it, Joe, right? So that's where we lose it. Self-management, self-leadership is being able to tell yourself, I will do this, and then put your mind to it, right? And building confidence around it. It takes time to succeed because stress is merely the natural reward for taking time to do anything well. Joseph Ross. Rewards provide inspiration. Rewards can be concrete, like promotions or money, but they can also be more intrinsic by nature, such as sense of well-being or pride. You do something good, naturally something comes, in return. So we keep talking about these rewards, and you must be able to tie every positive change to a reward. There have to be something, Uh, I like after working so hard on certain days, I want to have a 2 hour for Netflix at this hour to this hour. I want to be able to, something, just schedule a reward for every positive change that you are pulling through. So talking about the rewards, that can be given for many different, you can have different reasons. Natural rewards are more of the intrinsic ones we talked about. They strike a sense of positive emotions, uh, and they provide self-motivation. It encourages you to do better at whatever the task that you have at hand. Rewards gives you a sense of meaningfulness, a sense of choice. That choice is really that you are in control, right? You are deciding what to do. A sense of competence, a sense of progress comes out of the rewards, right? So let's talk about the competence uh, used as a motivational tool that can help reinforce self-improvement. Because as you practice, you begin to feel that I can do it, right? Um, and then it begins to push you to do more and more. Uh, your purpose and self-control provide meaning in life. Natural rewards that we typically have to find on our own. You have to have a sense of self-fulfillment. It's something that no one else can give you. Build self-control to build our own natural self-fulfillment within. Recognize our impulsive thoughts, place time limits on those thoughts. Being able to catch yourself thinking and stopping the thoughts is the hardest part of self-leadership. And some ways you can do it is, just start, breathing exercises, counting your breath. Think about it. Every time you decide, I want to breathe deeply in and out for 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, you think it's easy, try it. Just consciously breathe. We breathe without thinking about it. Just consciously breathe and count it. Because when you are consciously counting it, thoughts will come to poke into that count. And before you know what's happening, you stop the breathing exercise. But because you want to stop a particular thought, you say, I'm going to do a breathing exercise now. And I want to do that for 20 times. I want to do that for 30 times and 40 times. They help you to, put a stop to that thought that you want to stop. And then there are other healthy distractions that you can have. People have spiritual music you can turn on. You can move on to a channel that, comedy that takes your mind off that thought. Healthy distractions are very helpful. And then physical activities are also very important. When we participate in physical activities, we release the kind of hormones that are more positive, and we'll get better at the kind of positive changes that we want to drive for ourselves. So it's not enough to catch yourself thinking a negative thought and stopping it, right? But you need to be able to replace it with more positive thinking. That's what we talk about when we say constructive thinking. To be a happy person, you have to think constructively. You have to look at things in a positive way and determine how it will benefit you. Always think things through and determine the best course of action. Your brain is a powerful tool, so use it to your own advantage. Positive thinking will improve your ability to learn, to lower depression. It will increase resistance to physical illness. Just your thoughts, being able to reduce the likelihood of you falling ill is a mighty great opportunity that you should not play with. So catch yourself in negative talk and move into positive self-talk. Stop pitying yourself. If something has gone wrong, gone wrong. If you can fix it, and move on. Don't dwell and overanalyze the past. And then see the humor in things. Some things can just happen and you're just like, okay, this is funny, this is weird, right? And find some reason to laugh about it. Cultivate optimism deliberately. Work on the positive. Self-leadership really, really is about being able to talk yourself out of negative into positive. Focus on your goals and purpose in life and move in the direction that will bring you greater results. There are certain programming in our upbringing. I mean, think about it. Children are born naturally fearless. They're not afraid. They are born naturally caring. Everybody is loved when they are born. Then reactions, actions, culture, and other things create a lot of assumptions in the mind. And before you know what's happening, we are dealing with stereotypes. We have been programmed. You have to be conscious of your own programming. Take over that programming and be able to recode it to make sense, out of it. Think of what you do as important. Imagine opportunities everywhere you look and look for opportunities that suit you. Pay attention to your surroundings. Think of what you do. Think of the opportunities you can get from your surroundings and see how you can take advantage of those opportunities. Happiness and well-being are actually best regarded as skills. It's not just emotional. They are skills. You can actually develop the skill of mindfulness, the skill of well-being, the skill of mental and emotional maturity. You build it over time. We've had other sessions where we talk about emotional intelligence, the concept of associated with one's ability to control, evaluate, and perceive emotions. It can be learned over time. Part of maturing up, right? Part of being able to identify your own and other people's emotion and be able to harness and manage those emotions. Being able to be perceptive, being able to be reasoning and rational is part of emotional management. And then let's talk about stress. We have a lot of stressors in our life, things to do with little time. Sometimes we don't have the right network, people to interact with, to counsel and coach. And then exercises. Talked about physical activities as a way to manage your stress. You just need to try, be consistent in doing 15 to 20 minutes of a certain workout routine on a daily basis. Or you can even do experiments where you do it for some days and you don't do it for some days. See the difference in your mood throughout the day. See, how that affects how positive you are towards people, how you deliver on the results, on the tasks at hand, how less stressed you feel. It's just amazing. So we talk about positivity and now optimism, being able to look on the bright side of things and enjoy the benefits of it. If you're optimistic, you are always hopeful. You're always looking for the best things in people. You live in such a way that you are gracious, you are forgiving, you listen to people, you smile often, you exercise and eat healthy. You think, that has broken, right? Okay, so what should we do now? How can we move on? Not how can we investigate and audit what has just happened. And then you're not really, playing the blame game. These are very, very serious virtues that takes time to build. If you're optimistic, you have a healthier heart. Your heart, physically, I'm not talking about emotional heart, physically, better stress management and lower risk of stroke. Because stroke happens in the mind. So if you control your mind and you're positive, you have less tendency for stroke. And then learn to incorporate fun and happiness into your life. Nobody has a perfect life, but accept your life and find a way to make something positive out of it. Because too many people are always whining about the politics, about the government, about the economy, about the system that they find themselves, about being a Nigerian and the Jackal syndrome, being in work that requires me to work at. So many things, they're just negative. You know what? All those negative thoughts takes you to the hospital because your mind breaks down and your body breaks down with it. And then when it comes to well-being, make sure that you are taking care of yourself. you have to be the number one person in your own life. So many things you can do to focus on yourself. Exercising, dieting, getting enough sleep. We have a sleep epidemic. We've talked about Corona, we've talked about Ebola. Nobody's really dealing with the sleep epidemic. People are not sleeping enough. We are always awake, doing something, and sleeping 4, 5 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, for all kinds of reasons, even on holidays and weekends. Fitness boosts brain power. If you are exercising, movement helps melt away stress, it gives you energy and wards off disease. I have been particularly, blessed with this for the last 11 years. Not, going for treatments, just because I decided 11 years ago I wanted to be fit. I started taking action to being fit, and then controlling our diet, whole grains into our meals. Eat fish, minimize animal fats. So think about it, and work on the kind of things you eat, because we are what we eat. Our thinking, our body, our skin, our hearts, our lungs, all of our organs are, we are depositing whatever we are eating into them. And if we put in so much of those fats, it will become troublesome for us. I've talked about the sleep. This is very important. Some people have a nap habit. Is very effective too. Being able to take, a cat nap or even a proper nap of 1 hour during the day can make your day like 2 days of productivity. Because before the nap, you've done so well. After the nap, you come back refreshed and you can do another 3 or 4 hours of work. It's almost like doing 2 days of 8-hour productivity, because you have been able to take that nap. And then for nighttime sleep, have a bedtime ritual, something that tells you it is time to sleep. Okay. And so breathing exercises, setting music, setting, diffuser oil, setting lights, control can also help tell your body, okay, yes, it's time. Let's do this sleep, right? Take a look at your life and you will see all the personal resources available to you. Okay. Sometimes we don't realize the things around us. We just keep complaining. Personal resources include your energy, your knowledge, your attitude, creativity, skills, talents, and time. You have time. Be conscious of that and use it well. Everyone should be respected as an individual, but no one idolized. Albert Einstein. Be proud of who you are and do what makes you happy. You do not have to please anyone but yourself. So be true to yourself. This is big deal when it comes to personal self-leadership. What is one thing that everyone has of their own? If you're thinking fingerprints, you're right. But right now, you're focusing on personality. Each person's personality is unique. You have your own unique personality. Personality traits can change over time because you will learn new skills, you gain new experiences in life, and your personality will be moderated by the kind of experiences you have, right? And then certain personalities will work with certain other personalities. So there are, different aspects of personality that creates, affinity or repels. Okay, so we need to find ways to embrace our personality and understand how it affects others. And then we should be conscious of what we can have control over. Working from our center of strength, know exactly what you have control over and what you don't have control over. Don't worry about what you don't have control over. Always be able to break up issues and say, if I want to act, can I really act in this area? Can I have control over this aspect? Because if you can take care of what you have control over, you do a lot better. And then monitor yourself. High self-monitors have an easy time blending into social situations. We've talked about autonomy, being able to act independently and take decisions for yourself. My humanity is bound up in yours, for we can only be human together. Self-leadership recognizes that we are interdependent. Desmond Tutu. It's up to you to decide what type of leader you want to be and how to get there. Each person needs to decide that. And then we need to be increasingly adaptable, accept other people for who they are, and work with them, to produce the results that makes the common good better. All right. So if you have problems, personal problems, don't bottle them up, open up, and learn how others have dealt with issues. But when it comes to time to take decisions, those decisions have to be autonomous. They have to be you acting on your own problems. But when it comes to workplace problems, you want to be able to network and make sure everybody can work on it together, because nobody is an island. There's always a system in every work environment, and we can deal with issues like conflicts, like all those negative vices we talked about, and have a good outcome from them. And then to be socially responsible, you should work towards having a positive impact on those around you. Once you've worked on yourself, you begin to feel better and be more positive. Then you now begin to, reflect those behaviors and attitudes on those around you. So that's our session for today. I hope you've learned something and can work towards getting better at what you do. If you have questions, now is the time to unmute and ask. If you have questions and you can put them on the WhatsApp group, please do so. We're going to have all of these sessions that we're running every Thursday available on our YouTube channel. For those who missed it, can go back and watch them. And we're going to have the courses available on our learning management system for you to be able to purchase at a very small fee and get the certificates of competence in every of these skills. Chukwemeka, you have a question. I saw your hand up. Okay. Okay, so you can put the question in the chat and I'll definitely respond to it. It's 2 o'clock, so let's move on with our day. Enjoy your holiday until I come your way again on Thursday next week. Bye-bye.